Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be with you. I always feel that I'm among friends when I come home to Utah, especially when I see my friends here at the legislature. I just left Governor Herbert's office and was reminiscing with him about my early days up on Capitol Hill while I was serving as Governor Huntsman's general counsel. When we first came on board, when Governor Huntsman was sworn in 2005, Governor Huntsman was new to state government. Lieutenant Governor Herbert was also new to state government, and they had a staff that was quite new, so much so that there was a group of people in the legislature that gave us a nickname. They called the governor's senior staff the Sigma Chi's because to them we looked like we were in college. But, you know, since then I've lost more hair, so I probably wouldn't be called that today. It is nonetheless very much a pleasure to be here to talk to you. I take this responsibility very seriously, the responsibility that I have to represent the state of Utah and the duty that comes along with that to come back and report to you every year on what I'm doing and answer any questions that you may have. I hope that this will continue. I certainly intend for it to continue formally, and I also hope that it will continue throughout each year, even after I've come and given this report and answered any questions. My purpose in Washington is to represent the state of Utah as well as I possibly can. And one of the reasons why I decided to run for this office in the first place was basically to make you more powerful. I want to make state governments more powerful. State governments have grown less powerful over the last 80 years or so as the federal government has grown bigger and more expensive. That has not always inured to our benefit, and I'd like to turn that around any way I can. I've delivered to you again this year the next edition of my annual report. This is the 2012 version. I hope you'll enjoy reading that. I won't offer, I won't be handing out any tests on this, but it makes for very good reading. I'm sure it reads very much like a novel that you'll just want to follow, kind of a Dan Brown theme. When I do what I do in Washington, I'm always pointing to our state as an example of how we should operate. I sometimes describe this as the Utah model. You meet every year and you do hard work. You don't always agree, but you come to a solution. You come up with a budget that is balanced every single year. It's not news when you balance a budget here. It should be in a sense, but it's not. I look forward to the day when it's no longer news when we balance our budget in Washington, just as you do every single year here. These are, of course, difficult times for our nation, and in particular for our national government. There's a lot of shoulder shrugging that occurs in Washington. A lot of people that like to shrug their shoulders and say, "That's not my fault. That's not my problem." We've seen that the blame game is very much alive and well in Washington, and people like to point fingers about who's responsible. It reminds me of a little bit of an experience I had while traveling through southern Utah with my family years ago. We stopped at a Wendy's restaurant, and I was going through the salad bar because I think I was trying to show my wife that I was going to be healthy, but they had chocolate pudding in the salad bar. And I put a little bit of chocolate pudding on with my salad just to round things out. It actually made for a rather disgusting combination. But when I tried the pudding, separate and apart from the fact that it doesn't really mix well with lettuce, it's kind of odd if you think about it to put pudding in with a salad. But this pudding was rancid. It was spoiled. It tasted as though somebody had left it out for 3 or 4 straight days, and it was completely spoiled. And I immediately thought, I've got to warn others so that they don't make the same mistake of eating the pudding and, getting sick as a result. So I found the nearest Wendy's employee that I could find, and I said, "Hey, I just thought I'd let you know the pudding is bad." I was trying to say it quietly so as not to embarrass any Wendy's employee. And she looked at me for 2 or 3 seconds before saying anything with kind of a blank stare. And then she said, "I'm not on salad." I'm not sure what she was on, but apparently she was not on salad. And I politely said, I wasn't suggesting that you were assigned to the salad bar duty. I just thought you might want to let your manager know so that you can have whoever is on salad come out and fix the problem. I hope she fixed it, but I'm not sure she did because, as she put it, she wasn't on salad. This occurs in government a lot. It occurs especially a lot in Washington. It's very much tempting when we look at some of the problems we face in Washington to say, I'm not on that. I would very much like to be able to say, I'm not on our national debt, which is, $16.5 trillion and climbing. I'm not on the fact that we're adding to that debt at a rate of more than $1 trillion every single year. I'm not on reducing or controlling the size of government. I'm not on looking at the fact that the federal government owns 30% of the land mass in this country, 2/3 of our land in this country, and very often it owns and manages land in a way that disproportionately burdens people in certain western states like ours. We all have to be on it, and we have to be looking every single day to find ways to meet the challenges that we face. Fortunately, there are people in Washington who do care, and there are people in Washington who are willing to achieve bipartisan compromise every single day. It doesn't make news. I wish it made news when we did that, but we really do agree on a lot more than the mainstream media would have you believe. It's just that it's a lot sexier for the media sometimes to report on the areas where we don't agree, and we can do a lot when we do find those areas where we do agree. As a new member of the Senate Armed Services Committee, one of the things that I am definitely on is defense. I want to make sure that our nation's ability to protect itself remains second to none. We're facing a very difficult set of circumstances right now with sequestration set to kick in, and this provides yet another challenge for us, but yet another opportunity potentially for us to achieve bipartisan compromise. As I've been working through this, I've been impressed by our brave young men and women who serve in uniform. Last week, I met with a group called the Sentinels, the brave soldiers who guard the tomb of the unknown soldier at Arlington National Cemetery. These brave young soldiers do everything they can, always to make sure that they're representing the United States government well, to make sure that their uniforms are never tarnished. They have these little metal pieces that attach to their shoes to make sure that they make that characteristic trademark clicking sound while they're guarding the tomb of the unknown soldier. They're reprimanded if that metal plate gets worn down too much. Since that program has been operating, there have been only a few hundred brave young soldiers who have been privileged enough to serve in that capacity, guarding the tomb of the unknown soldier. Once they're given that opportunity, they're given a badge. That badge has a number, and that badge belongs with them for the rest of their lives, but in some instances it's been taken away. It gets taken away if they do anything to disgrace the flag that they represent, the republic that they serve and that they protect, the bodies that they humbly serve to protect every single day. We face vexing problems as a nation, but as we confront those problems, if we'll confront them with the same sense of esprit de corps, with the same sense of commitment to a greater cause, we can get there. We can get there, I'm certain, and we must, and with your help, we will. Thank you very much for letting me come and talk to you.